Greetings, kings and queens, and welcome back to the Always a Queen Metamorphosis platform for another Sunday afternoon live broadcast. Happy Sunday, everybody. And I am here today surrounded by some other queens, as I'm sure you can see. And today we are going to be tackling the topic where women are gathered. And some women certainly have gathered up in here in this studio today. And so I am going to give each one of these beautiful queens an opportunity to introduce herself to you, our listeners. And I see Saran is already in the chat section. Greetings, Queen Saran. Welcome to our live broadcast today. And so I am going to give each one of these queens a chance to let you know who she is and maybe say a line or two about herself so we know who we're going to be chatting with today. Let's start with Queen Samista.
Peace and blessings, everyone, to all the audiences across the different platforms. It is a pleasure to be here. I am a divine being, many caps, mother, daughter, sister, friend, partner, co worker, educator for most of my life, the better part of 20 years. I am also the proud owner of Beautiful Blue Butterfly, which is a service that provides wellness tools, how to live a peaceful, balanced life. And yeah, that's about it. Excited to be here.
Awesome. All right. So let's go to Queen Zara.
Hello, everyone. It's awesome to be here virtually with my sisters joining in. Have history with each of these beautiful queens. I am an educator. I am a thespian. Everybody knows me in the theater world in Antigua. I'm also a social activist. And if you can't find me with my daughter, you can probably find me in a Spanish bar drinking an ice cold beer. Woohoo!
All right, let's hear. Zara, you're killing me. Let's hear from Queen Aisha.
Only Zara. Greetings, everyone. I am Aisha. Like all these other people working here, I wear many hats, and a few of them. My main ones at the moment are midwife, birth worker, wife, proud new homeowner. Give me a shout out because I did the thing. Um, and I have a lot of love for every woman on the panel. I know all of you in various ways over, from a year or two to 20 odd. Am I dating myself, Sarah? 30 odd years. And I'm very honored to be here.
Wonderful. And last but certainly not least, Queen Zen. Let the people know who you are and what you do. Uh-oh. Have we lost Zen? I think we have. Okay. Let's hope we are able to get her back in a little while. Don't mind the technical difficulties, folks. The show will go on. We cannot stop this show today because I know that there are a lot of people waiting for this conversation today. I know this. And so we cannot stop this train. This train must proceed, no matter how many technical difficulties we have. Today, our topic is where women are gathered. And we are going to be talking about this belief. I don't know. I'm speaking about it as if it is a myth, but there are some people who believe that it is not a myth, that women cannot get along with other women. And so that is what we are here to unpack today. Oh, I see we've got Zen back. Oh, uh-oh. No, we don't. Okay. Zen seems to be having some technical difficulties. Let's hope we get that sorted. But we're going to go ahead and press on. All right? So Queens, are you ready for this discussion? Are you ready for me to drop the first
Yes,
bombastic
bring it.
question?
Yes, yes, bring it on.
Ready.
Ready.
All right. So I guess the first and most important question for us to address here is this really true? Is it a myth? Or is it indeed a fact that women can't get along with each other? What are your thoughts on this? I guess we can start. Let's start with Semester. What are your thoughts on this, Queen?
You're throwing me right in there, right in there. I actually have two answers for this: absolutely and absolutely not. I think that depending on what you believe as an individual, that is the experience that will manifest itself. Because even preparing to come on, and a few persons asked me, "So what's the topic about?" And I was like, "Well, debunking the myth that women don't get along." And one was a male, and he was like, "They don't." And then another was a female, and she was like, "That's for real?" But I have been in other circles. For example, I work at an all girls school, and we've had a few situations where parents had to come in to deal with issues with girls getting into little squabbles, quarrels, whatever we want to call it. And I remember in one particular meeting, the mom was like, "Well, you know how women are. We don't get along. We always have to fight and argue, etc." So I believe it truly depends on what your outlook is, and that it would be true for you. So, for in some circles, it is correct, but then in other circles, people aren't even aware that this is a thing.
All right. Okay. I actually agree with that. And I think it makes absolute sense that what you are actually expecting to see is what will actually show up in your experience. So if you expect to see women not getting along, I think that that will very naturally flow into your experience, and you're just going to be seeing what you are looking for. Whereas if you're showing up in the world from the perspective of women can indeed get along, that you will see a lot of that as well. So I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Let's hear what Zara has to say. Zara, what are you thinking about this? Is it true or is it not true?
I'm sorry, I'm going to piggyback off of Miss D and say that it is true and it's totally not true depending on who you are surrounded with. I have been in situations where I would be inclined to think that, and then I realize that it's just about socialization. And then moving beyond socialization, it's about what you want for yourself and what you can realize as having been toxic lies that you may have been conditioned to believe. And then, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, persons who do get along, like lap over type, the I can share the ugly truth with you and we still hang out after. I can tell you I disagree and we still hang out after. Even if we have to take a breathe off for 2 days, but then, the third day you're going lunch, what we get it. I feel like those persons have reached a level of maturity and awareness within themselves that equips them to be that that friend with whomever. And when you have someone that is also on that path, to me, sorry, to me, that's when there is no myth. There's no stereotype. It's just about human beings being real with themselves, appreciating where everybody is on their journey and being able to build friendships that are our earthly and even divine family. So that's my opinion in a grand scope of thing.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Aisha, let's hear you. Is it true or is it not true that women cannot get along?
I agree with everything that Misty and Zara said. So I'm not going to belabor that point. The points they made are, yeah, spot on for me. I want us to, we probably will get into it later in the discussion. So let me stick to the question I was asked. I don't think that at its core it is true, right? And I will say the reason why at its core I don't believe that it's true, and then we can get all controversial afterwards. I think that at its core, it speaks to this image that certain forms of society, i.e., patriarchal, put on women, that women are supposed to always be quiet and demure and get along with everyone else and only speak nicely and never say anything that will upset anyone ever because we're women. And so, if you have a situation where women have conflict, which is a normal human thing to have, woman to woman, man to woman, all the other, combinations that you can find, it is normal for human beings to have conflict. But if you have this idea of women as, oh, no, you don't get to do that because you have to be this particular image, then when you see conflict unfolding, you're going to go, oh my goodness, they can't get along with anyone, right? Um, and I don't think at its core it is that. As Zara said, there's a socialization issue. So if you're being raised by females that tell you women can't get along, what do you think you're going to be manifesting? Right? The first time you have a conflict with another, oh, see there, women don't get along. I just knew it. My mother always said it. My auntie said it. They never got along with each other. This is the thing, right? But we're not actually challenging the underlying assumptions that comes from. And so my overall answer is hell no, that's not true. Do women have conflicts? Yes. Can women not get along with other women? Yes. But no more so is it ingrained in us than it is for other human beings. And that's my position. Hey, Zane, I see you're back.
All right. I
Yes.
think we finally got Zin on the line. Zin, thank you for being here. Thank you for persevering so that you could be here with us. I'm going to give you a
Yes.
chance to introduce yourself to the followers and the listeners. Let them know who you are and what you do. And then, right after that, you can go right into your response to the question that we are currently answering. And basically, we're speaking to whether or not we believe that it is true that women don't get along. Like, is it a myth or is it a fact? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I got the assignment. Peace and blessings, everyone. I'm Zen, the organic goddess, CEO and wellness coach at Pink Nectar. And I am so happy to be here with my beautiful sisters. um, so, yeah, I'm just going to get right to the question. Do I think it's hard for women? Okay, yes. I grew up in a household where we could not argue, or if we did argue, we had to make up right away. And I'm the big sister, so I didn't really have time to be arguing with the little sisters. But I think a lot of it has to do with knowing stuff. So when women don't know stuff, it's difficult to see other women. And as I've been developing myself over the years and refining myself through rites of passages and wellness coaching and um, getting to understand this woman body, the more I get to know myself, the more I see the beauty in every woman that I get to meet, even the ones that I don't necessarily like. I still see the beauty in them and I'm able to relate to them and say, hey, you know what? They have something going on with them that has nothing to do with me, and I can love them from a distance and then still get along with them, even though I don't necessarily like their lifestyle. So I just really think it has a lot to do with knowing self and how to maintain self, take care of self, and then be able to interact with other women.
All right, thank you very much. I want to take a moment just to acknowledge the persons who are in the comment section right now. I want to pause and say greetings to Queen Toyan and to MJ. Thank you so much for being here on this afternoon's broadcast. All right, so let's move to another question. I don't know if this is the question that Queen Aisha wanted to pop in early on, because she was ready to move us into another question early and bright. But the next question I have on my list here is the competition factor, that competition element that we see showing up in female relationships quite a lot, unless I'm the only person who has noticed it. I don't know if the rest of y'all have seen it, but it is something that I see surfacing quite a bit. And I am wondering what your take is on this particular component that shows up so frequently in female relationships. Why do women feel the need to compete with each other? Any thoughts on that? Don't all jump in at the same time.
I have
Yeah.
a thought on that. I have a thought on that. Sometimes it's pressure, though. Sometimes it's pressure from men. Sometimes it's pressure from other women. But I've seen it and experienced it from the men. So, like, if I'm in a relationship situation and then the guy's like, oh, and then he's looking somewhere else, it makes me feel like, okay, what's going on with her? Like, and then you get into that competition mode. And again, when you don't know yourself, you're going all out with it. Petty, the trolling or whatever they want to call it, the low key stalking, or even just doing things to where it's like, okay, is this really me, or am I trying to be somebody else because of what somebody wants in a woman, instead of just like really working on the gifts and the beauty that I already have. So I feel like sometimes it has to do with the pressure in our communities, pressures from our partners, pressure from watching TV and all that kind of stuff. And me personally, I cut stuff out. I like to cut out the TV. I like to cut out the social media time and all that, because I can't deal with all that type of confusion, and I'll just turn into stuff. So yeah, I think it has a lot to do with what we're seeing and experiencing.
Yeah. I think Aisha had touched on it earlier in terms of the patriarchal society, because I can remember feeling like that as a teenager. And even now, as an adult, I realize that I still operate in the mode where, as a teenager, I got my breasts late, right? I, I had a childhood friend that had her boobs since primary school, and I remember one of my male friends telling me that when we walked home together, we looked like the number 18, or the word is. I was not the 8 or the S. So that just gives you an idea, right? And so from like early on, right, this used to be the pattern. We'd meet guys together and nobody would notice me. I was a tomboy, and I actually grew up with more male friends than female friends. And she was like my main female friend. And so the guys would meet when we're out, they would be attracted to her, the boobs. I'm shaped like the letter I. And but then afterwards they'll be calling me because they want to talk to me, and I'm like, why? I was right there and you chose her. Don't come talk to me. No, I'm not interested. And even going through adulthood too, I've noticed sometimes that I would like a guy, I would let a female know I like the guy, And then I can't tell if she likes the guy too, because she'll start flirting. And I remember calling a friend out on it one time, and she's like, I wasn't flirting. I was like, my girl, you were doing the head to the side. And hi. I was like, you're flirting. And like for me, let me tell you, all right, when it comes to men, if I like a guy, he's not gonna know. I am so shy with men that I'm actually attracted to. And I see the competition thing being something that a lot of us would have been conditioned to think we have to compete. For me, I'm stepping back from the competition. I don't want to compete. I don't want so many avenues in our lives force us into some kind of rat race and competition. So this is one where I'm not compete for the man, but I'm just not going to do it. Sis, you want him, go ahead. Because guess what? At the end of the day, and he tired of you, he can either call me or Becky. Don't worry, girl, I'm not gonna answer my phone. But I'm just saying, I'm just not interested in that. But I see it around me so much. And I try to talk to even, my girls with it. And so the other day this guy was trying to talk to me. And I mean, I probably scared him off because I'm just too tired to flirt and be cute and all the patriarchal accoutrements that the men might be expecting. And he asked me, what if he gets interested in somebody else? I said, well, go through. He's like, what do you mean go through? I said, just want to say me now compete for you. You are the best thing since flush toilet. What am I going to compete for you for? And he was so taken aback. Yes, Miss Timothy, just so. Like, why, if you're interested in me, why are you even asking me about competing with other women? That means you have other interests, or I'm not your top priority. So for me, red flag, the woman on YouTube, red flag, we has more the woman for. I'm done.
Listen, I cannot. Okay, go ahead, Mister. Say your piece.
Well, Zara is taking the words out of everybody's mouth right about now. I think there is such a deep conditioning in terms of competition that we don't even realize from since birth, actually, because we have all of these measures, even with babies, what they should weigh when they're born, what height they should be, etc. So it's always a time for you to try and catch up. So you're having that from since you're born. Mothers are pressured because you have to prove that you're a good mother if you're doing certain things. So there's this competition that you're providing your children with XYZ. The same thing for fathers as well. Being a good father, there's always this measuring up to some kind of standard. I'm not even sure who has set it. We don't really question it. There's a competition, but what's winning this competition? What does winning look like? And then we get into school, and then it's another competition because now you're with other children from various backgrounds, and you have to come out on top to show that you're the smartest, you're the best, you can do this. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Even looking for a job, it's a competition to get a job because all these other persons are looking for it. And so we too, as women, it's not just focused in the sense of attracting a partner, it's just in everything that you do. And so I think what we have to do to overcome those things is, as Zara says, you make a decision that you're not about to be competing for anything. And to piggyback on what Zin said, it comes when you're self-aware, when you know who you are, when you know what your purpose is, when you know what you've come to bring to this world, and you're willing to give it without checking, oh, well, what's Zara doing? What's Zin doing? What's Aisha doing? What's Therese doing? Why am I not doing that? No, just do you. Just do you. The competition isn't with anybody else. The competition, if we want to call it that, is bettering yourself each and every day, becoming more aware of what you need to work on, what you need to be giving to this world, how you're giving your gifts, your talents, your time, where you're investing your energy. Because a lot of the times we're investing the energy in looking at what other people are doing and trying to tailor what we do around that. But no, do what you're doing, and that's it. Then for me, I'm at the point where Zara is. I'm in no competition in any space that I'm in. And I'm also trying to pass that on to the women that I come into contact with people in general. So even my son, I have to remind him, you've come here for a purpose, and it's not to measure up against anybody else, but to be your own unique light. So that's my contribution to that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I see Zin is ready. Zin is ready to jump in on this. Go
Yes,
ahead, Zin.
I am, girl. I am. Cause I love how you put that, Misty, in regards to the conditioning. It's like an extra emphasis on what's outside rather than the emphasis on what we bring, and then a lack of an emphasis that you are worthy regardless. But I saw something recently, and it was like your peace is here. Why are we depending on outside for our peace? And it's the same thing. We're competing with outside, but it's like a across the board in every area: school, religion, medical, like every single thing. There's an emphasis outside, and it takes away from the spiritual aspects that we're supposed to have our foundation from. So anyway, I'm just piggybacking off what Missy said, the external part of how we
Yeah, I
operate
like
in
that Sin
society
said
is
that.
like a big emphasis.
Yeah, go ahead, Aisha.
Okay, I'm not sure if y'all can hear me.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay, cool. I was saying I really like that Zin brought up the spirituality part of it because that's where I was going in my mind when I was listening to Zara and Misty share what was coming to them. And I think it's a real indictment of um, certain popular religions, spiritual systems, when so many people that adhere to them don't come here knowing that you come with a divine purpose, right? Um, the spiritual system that I primarily adhere to, one of the main things that it tells you is that you're here in order to evolve into your best self. You don't have any other to do list, really. Everything else is icing on the cake. And when we leave here and we return to the ancestral realm, we have to give an account. Did you do what you were sent here to do? Not look man, not be somebody's mommy, not have a particular job, but evolve into your highest and best self. And that is the account. That's the question. That's the thing that we are going to be evaluated on when we go back, you know? And it really makes me feel like, okay, what if from birth we are told this? Instead of you have to come first, second or third in class, or you have to be better than so and so, or if your friend have this, then you must have this times two. What if we were taught that? Would we really have a situation where ones among us feel like, oh, it has to be a competition? The example Zara gave with the friend low key competing once she found out Zara was interested in doing it. And Zara have to say, I'm sure every one of us can say, you know what? That's just like when so and so did such and such to me, right? And if we can't, we probably the ones that are doing it. But anyway, we can say that in any walk of life, right? How many of us have been on a job or worked somewhere where we can see it happening, playing out in that arena? Not necessarily, the prize is not necessarily some guy that we might be interested in, but a particular position that we wanted and somebody else get it. So now that person who happens to have gotten that job is enemy number one, just because they got a job that you wanted, right? What if we as a whole came here and had it drilled into us that your purpose is to evolve into your best self? Would we be sitting down here thinking we need to compete with somebody else? As Misty says, or she tells her son and what she believes herself is, you come here with a divine mission. There's something special that only you can bring to the world. That's why you're here. The universe literally shifted and made space for you when your presence was made known on the face of this earth. And you go sit down here talk about you go fight for somebody, man. Cause she key a car and she see him first and you had him, all of that stuff becomes so irrelevant and so petty, once you start to see yourself in excuse me, in that light. And so as the other queens were sharing, I had to keep coming back to myself because my mind kept taking me to look at the spiritual system. Can you hold on to a spiritual system that gives you that understanding of yourself and act like this? And I think we really need to, I think it's really doing the discussion a disservice if we don't frame it within the confines of the different systems that we find ourselves under, right? Because if we were under certain other systems, would this feature of women not getting along, women being petty with each other, women competing with each other, even the idea of it being a thing, because if you talk to most people, they'll tell you, yeah, just like you said, Therese, most people are like, well, yeah, that's women just don't get along. It's kind of an unspoken, universally almost accepted rule or thing. If we were under different systems, if we were not under a patriarchal system, if we weren't under capitalism, if we weren't under a Western European worldview, would we still have these issues? And if we can't say yes, then those issues aren't universal. It's not inherent in women to not get along and to be in competition with each other. And so that's all I wanted to share. Everything else that everybody shared, I was sitting down here saying, girl, yes, yes. And then I got kicked off a couple times, came back on and was like, yes. So all of that stuff, I'm agreeing with everything everybody's saying, but I really wanted to pull out some more of what Zin was saying about that spiritual component, because we cannot understand what we're seeing if we ignore that factor that's underlying everything.
Yes, profoundly true. I have a couple things I want to say, but before that, I really need to pause and acknowledge the chat section, which is on and popping over here, and we cannot ignore our listeners because they are contributors to this discussion. So let me take a moment to just look at what is happening in the chat section. I see Queen Vanetta is here. Welcome in, Queen. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And there are some comments that I really want to highlight and get some points of view on from you queens here. I see MJ is saying, because our mothers compete with us. That was her response when I asked the question initially. Why do women feel the need to compete with other women? And I immediately saw MJ pop this into the chat section. I want y'all to hold on to that because we're going to talk about that in a moment. Right? She says, because our mothers compete with us. Woo, I have things to say about that, but we're going to come back to that. That's a heavy one. That is bombastic, MJ. Right? And I see Heather also says, not knowing self and lack of self-confidence can bring out that jealousy in women. I think this is the point that Zin was making earlier. And also, it also goes back to what Aisha was just saying as well, that the understanding of individual divine purpose takes away any need to compete or be jealous of anybody because you understand that their role is different from yours, i.e., you're not really meant to be doing the same thing, which would eliminate the need to compete, right? So we are 100% in agreement with this comment from Heather Durham. Saran says, this is why I don't watch TV. I think this is in response to what Zin was saying earlier about cutting out the social media and how TV and social media influences us as women, and perhaps also kind of exacerbates that need that we have to compete with other people, because we are looking at what other people are doing with their lives and perhaps comparing it to what is going on in our own lives, forgetting that much of what you see on social media is not real anyway, right? Um, this is a controversial comment. Saran, Queen Saran, she says, I don't think competition is totally a bad thing. But if we are compromising ourselves or being malicious or jealous, that is something else. Something to think on, eh? Put a pin on that one. We're going to talk about that too. Stick a pin on that. We're going to discuss that one as well. All right. Wow. We have a lot of comments here that I really want to highlight. There's my Marie says the best bond women share is over childbirth and motherhood. We compare notes and learn from each other. If we could just take that same energy and transfer it to other areas of our lives, we'd rule the world. Hmm. I want to say, things about this comment, because some parts of it are really resonating with me and other parts of it are like, I don't know. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Yes. But thank you, Queen, for being here and for participating in this discussion. Greetings, Queen Tasha. Thank you for joining. Here is another comment I would like to highlight. Women are played big time. We are set up and set against each other. It sells things like clothes, cosmetic surgery, big homes, expensive cars, etc. Keeping up with the Joneses syndrome. Heather with the heavy hitters in the comment section today. All right. Greetings, Queen Anju. I see you. MJ says, I agree with all the queens as well. It's embedded in us in every aspect of life. And this is the last one I'll highlight for now. Tasha says, on the flip side, we women also support, uplift, and are excited when other women are doing well. We absolutely agree with you, Tasha, and we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about that, but let's unpack a couple of the points that our followers made in the comment section, because there's some stuff there that we need to absolutely discuss. Like, we cannot just overlook that. First one I want to talk about is what MJ said. MJ said that she thinks that a contributing factor to our competitive spirit is that our mothers compete with us. I mean, do you all have some feelings about that? Like, say something.
Fortunately, I personally have never experienced that, but I do have friends that have experienced that competition thing. I don't understand it completely, but I can appreciate it in the sense that one of the most, I think, terrifying things for some of us as humans to realize is that our parents are people too, that they are individuals apart from the heroes and sheroes that we idolize them as. And unfortunately, some of our parents are still trying to figure out who they are. They're still trying to heal themselves from childhood traumas. Some don't even realize that they need healing. So that is where I've seen that scenario in terms of the competition, where you can actually recognize that, okay, so and so's mom is still going through it and she doesn't even realize she's going through it. And then the second tier of that is that she doesn't even realize what it's doing to her own children.
Anybody else want to jump in on that?
Sure, yes. I've never seen that. I've never seen that, and then if I have, then I've didn't recognize it. And then it just makes me think of how I am with my daughters. Like, I want them to be on a golden pedestal. Like, I want them to know everything that I didn't know. So I couldn't imagine for myself to be in competition with my children. Like, I want them to be better than me. I don't want them to go through all the nonsense that I had to go through growing up. And I'm showing them from early. And then I just really had a interesting and loving upbringing where I have still have a very close relationship with my mom, and a lot of women, like mother figures, that were teaching me along the way and looking out for me. So I just find that really strange. I didn't know that that was an actual thing.
Oh, Misty, go ahead.
Just like the other queens, I am not able to identify with that statement, but I have seen some examples of it and have had persons express that they feel that way. And I think that what Zara has mentioned is very important, that our parents are people. We forget that. And with them being on their own journey with unhealed traumas, things that they're still learning and living through, we can see that those things that are embedded, that they have not been able to come out of, it's possible that a child can feel as though the parent may be competing with them. The parent may be aware or unaware, but I don't really want to say much because, as I said, it's not my personal experience. And to me it is just, it is strange, but then not so much because
Uh-oh. I think maybe we lost Misty there. Um, all right, let's give her a chance to get that sorted. Does anybody else want to speak on this issue of moms competing with their daughters?
Yeah. Um, to say that, well, first of all, the disclaimer, I can't speak about this from a place of knowing firsthand or personally. I don't have that relationship with my mother, and I've not seen that type of relationship mirrored in my family. So I can't say that, oh yeah, that's something that's come to my realm of consciousness to say that I know about. But it isn't the first time I've heard the sentiment expressed that, they have these women that feel like they're in competition with their daughters, and I've heard it expressed in two different ways, maybe, or at two different times. Little girl, mom has little girl, and little girl is the apple of daddy's eye, and now mom feels like little girl is her competition. And then I've heard of it in regards to mom and little girl cool and tight as long as little girl is a little girl, but little girl starts to evolve into a young woman, and then now it's a different type of relationship, and it's like this competition thing. In both those cases, it sounds to me um, like the other said, mom is unhealed. Mom has not gone through, mom has not come to an awareness of herself, right? Mom hasn't done the work of evolving into her best self. And so she's still vibrating at a low enough energy that it's possible for her to look at other females, even if the female happens to be her own daughter, as competition for her. So it comes back again to those points that were made earlier about, do you know yourself? What is your spiritual or other grounding that is supporting how you understand yourself as you show up in this time and space? And that's going to govern how you show up and understand yourself in relation to other people. And I think it kind of takes us back when we think of it in the terms of mother-daughter relationship, because that's sacred, right? Like that's supposed to be the highest of the high in terms of relationship. Nothing can touch that. Nobody should be your biggest supporter or fiercest defender like your mother. But again, if the person is not healed or doing the work of healing or self-aware, anything is going to happen. So I would not be surprised if that legit was a thing that some women have to face. And then MJ raises a good point. If this is the socialization that a girl is receiving from childhood or from adolescence or whatever, what type of woman do you think she's going to show up as? Like, what does that do to the subconscious mind when even your mother is your competition? Well, hell, all of us are fair game, you know? So I think that's a really good point that she's raising, even though we can't see it like as a personal, no, I can't even consider that. That's not even something that my brain is giving me an error message when I think of Daphne being in competition with me. That's like, no.
Probably on the
But
dance floor.
girl, well, no, I concede defeat. My two left feet concede defeat. Daphne has me beat on the dance floor. So, but I mean, because we can't, fathom it based on our experiences, just because we can't fathom it doesn't mean that, it isn't a very real reality for a lot of women. And we have to consider if that is the socialization, then we should not expect, the woman that grows out of that to be anything other than a woman who feels like, yes, you're female, let's go head to head, you're my competition for anything. And that's a sad state of affairs. That's painful to even
Can
think
I
about.
jump in there because I want to point out one glaring example that we sometimes don't even realize, or the mother daughter competition thing, and we will usually just toss the comment out that okay, something have wrong with this mama. In many of the cases where the child is being molested and raped by the boyfriend, the stepfather, and we hear statements being made by the mother that the mother is saying the daughter lured him, turned him on. That's an indicator right there. We don't immediately think of it as a competition, but as Aisha says, what mother is not going to fiercely defend her child? But if you're seeing your child as competition, you're not going to. You're not going to see your child as being your lover's prey. You're now seeing your child as competition that seduced your lover. And many of us might be surprised to know how many persons in our daily circles are faced with that kind of maternal competition.
Zara, yeah. As I'm listening to you all speak, I started to think, and I'm like, it's not as overt as I would have thought in regards to what that competition looks like. So your example is this thing that I was thinking about. Like, oh my God, that was the competition. All the mothers that blamed their daughters for the incest and the rape and the sexual abuse, there was a level of competition there. And I absolutely agree with y'all that the healing, the need for healing on so many different levels is just needed. And it's just difficult for me to just take that thought on to say, oh, my baby or my daughter is lower than me. So anyway, I'm just glad that y'all helped me to put it into perspective so that I can be aware, like, okay, yeah, there's more to this than what the eye can see, and that competition is not necessarily an overt competitiveness. It's very subtle. It's very, it's just a lack of understanding.
Yeah, I want to move to another question that came up in the comment section. And I see my husband is in the comment section asking the very same thing, actually. I just noticed that. Is all competition a bad thing? And that is essentially where I wanted to go with the discussion, because Saran also put a comment in earlier asking the very same question, like, like she actually said, I believe her comment was, all competition is not bad. I think, let me find that comment. This is the comment right here. It says, I don't think competition is totally a bad thing. And that is where I wanted to go next with the discussion. How do we feel about competition? I mean, in itself, as a construct, the process of competing with another human being, whether it is women competing or men competing or women and men competing, how do we feel? Because I have some very perhaps controversial uh, points of view where it comes to the whole concept of competition at any level. I feel like what and I know that it is definitely debatable. It's definitely debatable whether it is beneficial or not. Should we encourage competition? What are the benefits? What are the disadvantages? And the blah blah. Um, but I have some very specific opinions about it. But I'm going to reserve that because I would like to hear first what you guys think regarding the whole idea of competing. Is competition all bad? Is it all good? Is it something we should be doing?
I think it depends on the context. So, like, if everyone's intention is to compete with each other and everyone agrees that we're in a competition, I think that that is the more appropriate way. And again, this is just my thought. So, we see obvious competitions with any pageant or athletics or even intellectual competitions like chess or debating, like everybody's in agreement. I think if if I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh, she thinks she's better than me, that is an ego problem. She doesn't even know we at war. She don't even know that somebody's keeping score, and it just becomes unfair, and then this whole emotional imbalance. Like we're not keeping ourselves in check here. So again, I think it is a very fine line, but if everybody's in agreement, like you and your homegirl bet you're gonna do something and y'all both agreed and it's a healthy competition. Everybody's in agreement. But if it's
So
all
so
in your head,
basically, so basically
yeah,
competition is good as long as everyone agrees to compete.
I think so, yes.
Okay. Okay. I want to hear. I want to hear what the others are thinking. I see some smirks going on. What is happening? What are
Can
you
I jump
thinking?
in? I'm going to say competition is good, dot, 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 in certain circumstances. So I agree with Zin in athletics, in academics, even. Competition can be healthy in terms of pushing you to level up, right? So in that regard, I don't say competition, like the word competition is bad and it should be taken out the English language because, oh, bad, bad, nobody should ever compete for anything. But competition between or within a group simply because you exist as a member of this group. Competition to what end would be my question. In the context of what we're discussing, generally speaking, women competing with other women, full stop. Not women competing with other women in athletics or women competing with other women in the debate club or whatever. Just in general life, I don't see how that serves a healthy purpose. At least I haven't seen that mirrored up to now. In all the years that we've been here and being able to observe women competing with other women, can any one of us mention a case where we can say, see, that's healthy look at how that competition helped to just mold her into that beautiful person she now is. I don't think we can really come up with a lot of examples where just generally within, just within the group, just general all out competition is helpful. So I agree with the statement to the extent of, depending on what it is. If we are, if, we have a major problem in the society, the sun is getting too hot, we have to figure out how to stop global warming or whatever. And we say, okay, all five of us in here, we have this, great scientific training and whatever. Let us, have a competition to see which one of us can come up with the best for our group, our people, or whatever, our country's way of addressing this problem. That's healthy competition, in my opinion, because it sometimes incentivizes people to bring out the best of themselves and level up. But the other type of competition, which is really what I think our conversation is more about, personally, I don't see that. I just don't see it being a good thing.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
I think that your intention behind everything that you do is always the most important thing. So even when you are competing, what is your intention for this competition? It's like the question I asked in the beginning: what does winning the competition look like? And I believe that you can compete where it brings out the best and betters everybody involved in that competition. So the minute that somebody is disenfranchised, because you can have agreement in a competition and then somewhere along the way somebody get in their feelings and like, ah, and then somebody is doing something that isn't exactly kosher to be the winner or to come out on top or even to level up. You may not be looking to win, but to get to the level that you believe somebody else is at, you may do things that show lack of integrity, lack of principles, and all of those things. And I believe anything that goes against the good for all isn't good competition, but there can be good competition, as I said, if it benefits everybody involved.
All right. So here is, oh, Zara wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Y'all love, you know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm gonna say. And this and again, the patriarchal society. Me say me not compete for the man. Me not compete for the man. And if we look at it, a lot of our songs, a lot of our lyrics are about that. I mean, I love me some Tanya Steven. I get like me, never flee, never back down yet. I mean, I love the song, but me get back down, come and I compete. You understand? And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And I think that's one of the biggest competitions that we see with women. The side chick. Let me tell you, the other night, so I was out having like drinks with some girlfriends, and we were talking, the difference between friends with benefits, F friends, and then they had to explain to me the difference between a kept woman, kip woman, and side woman. Me don't even know difference they. I say, I'm not compete. I'm not competing for the man. Cause the same man you and a woman I compete over, brops you up and maybe a mother here check. You understand? I'm not competing for no man. And I find that our society just continues to push this competition for the man, which is unnatural. It's unnatural. You look at the animal kingdom. The men are the ones that are supposed to be competing for our attention. Look at the frigate birds, the women plain as hell. It's the male birds that have the big old red stuff, and the women are attracted to the ones with the bigger whatever you call that thing under the beak. The lions, the lioness ain't got no nice thick manes. It's the males, and the bigger the mane, the more lionesses he has around them. You understand? Not that, I mean, getting into the whole sister wife thing is a different conversation. But I'm just saying, it's not natural. It is not natural. And we keep pushing this competition thing. And you know where I see it the most? When a man cheats. As women, we tend to go after the other woman. Sis, the other woman is not your problem. I am man, I a husband, a whom I can vow all commitment to you. I a husband for tell the other woman, keep firm, I'm a woman. So if my man isn't doing that, me supposed to step to another woman for embarrass myself, sis techie, cause same way how you get your how you go lose you. That's it.
And on that note, Zara, Zara with the facts. But anyway, I want to say, and then I want to say something, and then I'm going back to the comment section because the comment section is when I say on and popping, on fire. But I wanted to just jump in really quick and say that I think that a lot of the competition that we see happening in female relationships is being egged on by the society and the culture that surrounds us. I think that we are socialized to believe, as women specifically, that there are some developmental milestones that we must meet in our lives in order to be worthy of the title woman. And I think that contributes significantly to the competition that we sometimes see happening. This brings me back to the comment that Melos Marie made, where she spoke to the fact that she said the best bond that women have is over childbirth and parenting, right? That is a developmental milestone that society has placed on females. You have to do it in order to get the title. You have to do it in order to have the value and the worth that they think you ought to have. You also have to do it so that you can measure up with other women who have done it already, or something is wrong with you. No matter how many other accolades or accomplishments you have managed to rack up, you still are not there if you do not meet the developmental milestones that society says that you need to meet. So you can get all the degrees in the world, you can run as many businesses as you like. Somebody is still going to say, but she doesn't have a man, but she doesn't have any children, but because there are some developmental milestones that society says women have to meet in order for you to truly merit the title of woman, right? The other stuff is just not enough. And I think that pits us against each other in ways that we are not even sometimes aware of. And so I think that is a big part of this competitive spirit that we have. And I think it lives in our subconscious minds somewhere. And I think we ourselves truly buy into this idea that we are less valuable, that we are somehow inferior for not having met those developmental milestones. And I think it's not always that other people are looking at us and judging us, but that we are judging ourselves for not having measured up. And because we feel that way about ourselves, I think we show up that way in our relationships with other women who perhaps have done some of the things that we are judging ourselves for not having done. And I think that a lot of the competition that we see comes from that too, right? So, and I also wanted to just underscore one more time. Aisha said it, but I just feel like it needs to be said again. Purpose should trump everything. When you know why you are here and what you were put here to do, When you, as the song says, when you understand the assignment, competition becomes a non-factor for you, because the only person you begin to compete with is yourself, to ensure that you are following through on the purpose for which you were put here on earth. And you are your competition at that point, because your business is fulfilling purpose, not watching what other people are doing. And if everybody's busy pursuing purpose, then what we competing over? Like, are we competing to see who is fulfilling their purpose better? Because that would be the only competition to be found, and so I just wanted to underscore that. And then I'm going over to the comment section for a little while. Bear with me. Let's see what's happening in the comment section, because oh my, it's interesting over on this end. Greetings, Queen Jamina. I see you. All right, let's highlight a couple of these comments. I see you, Queen Serene. Thank you for being here. Let's go. Let's run through this real quick. Mother-daughter competition exists a lot in our society. Each panel member raised valid points on this. As a mother of a 15-year-old, I strive for her to be a better version of me. That is beautiful. I love that. And Serene says, if we replace competition with inspiration, it can move Black women to be more mindful in how they're engaging with one another. And most importantly, fight negative thoughts and insecurities that create barriers to being our best selves. Thank you so much for that, Queen. And this is an interesting one. Afrika says, I think it's innate. It was a survival mechanism. Do you think competition is innate? You think we were equipped with this as a survival mechanism? What are your thoughts? I see Zin's face. Zin just made a face. Zin, I'm coming back to you. All right, MJ says, sometimes it's not a bad thing, I agree, but in what aspect is it happening? That's the key. Are we competing to help each other, empower, educate, or are you doing it to bring down your fellow queen? Are you in a bad place trying to make yourself feel better by boosting your ego? Oof. MJ with the facts in the comment section. I feel you, MJ. All right, here is another one by Serene that I want to highlight. Let's leave competition to games where a winner is necessary. So to identify someone who has outwit, outdone, or outskilled another. Dr. J, I believe this is the mindset we have taken on within the mental health profession. Ouch. So that we can all thrive in our unique ways. Serene, you just hit a spot. I wonder if we should tackle that. I feel like I should have a show just to talk about that, but let's keep going. All right, I'm going to highlight another comment here from Vanetta. I hear a lot about women wanting men. Doesn't the panel think that women want other things? Let me let that soak in. And perhaps focusing on their needs and not wants. I feel like that deserves a moment of silence. Don't women want other things? And I move on. All right. MJ says, Zara, I kill me. She not lie. Let me see if I can follow through with this dialect. Mean the man and them not tell you them na be animals. Man them say this is. MJ, help me.
Mind the man and them to tell you them to be animals. Man them say this ain't the 1700s.
How does MJ, behave yourself in the comment section. All right. Here we go, Vanetta again. This talk of man and woman may grab the lowest common denominator. Waiting to hear you guys debunk the myth that women don't get along with other women. So Vanetta doesn't want to talk about the man and woman story. Clearly, let's.
Can I just say here, I think having a discussion like this and we don't touch on it at least is to deny the reality of what happens in life. I know persons who are lawyers, doctors, accountants, big persons in society that you would think this is too common for them, but make somebody step up to their man. I've heard of esteemed persons in society that have called, to me, lowered themselves by calling the other woman instead of dealing with the man. So this is just one part of the conversation. I don't know if she tuned in late, but I know earlier we were also talking about the ways in which women support each other. And we all agree that one of the first things that we need to do is to elevate ourselves as individuals. We even touched on the spiritual calling there. But I mean, we want to continue to debunk. We can even look at our own friendships that are right here with the panel as well, looking at how we have sisterhoods that support our spiritual growth, sisterhoods that support our businesses, whether from conception to something as simple as just sharing a flyer into our own networks. So the sisterhood is definitely there. And I think with everybody here on this panel, I know personally I've butted heads with everybody. And guess what? We on a panel talking about sisterhood because we can butt heads and then have drinks after. We could butt heads and hug up each other. We can agree to disagree and move on because we're at that place where individually
I think we
call it
lost
divine
Zara.
inspiration. Hi,
Okay.
you hear
Oh,
me?
we
Yeah.
lost
Call
her
it
for a moment.
divine alignment as well. But I find once you begin to work on yourself, you the universe, God, whichever system that you believe in, aligns you with persons to help you grow on that journey. And definitely every person in this panel has helped me grow in some fashion or form. And I'm grateful for that for sure. So I mean we are living proof of debunking that. And again, don't want to talk about the man and woman thing, but to even admit as individuals that we are above competing, that is debunking the myth. We're above competing. There is no competition. We are totally debunking that myth because that is definitely biggest, one of the biggest social chains that breaks the sisterhood.
I would have to agree. I would have to agree with that. Um, Here's my next question. Greetings, Queen Cleffa. I see you. Thank you for joining. um, and just to underscore what Zara just said, find your tribe. Find your tribe. That is key. That is key. All right. Here's my question. Is it good to have female friends? Why is female friendship important? You know how many? Yeah, if I could get a dollar, if I could get a dollar for every time I have heard a woman say, I don't keep women friends because I prefer to keep men as friends. I mean, I don't know if any of you have ever heard that. I've certainly heard that on many occasions. So let's talk about female friendships. Why is it important to have female friends? Or perhaps I should phrase the question differently and ask instead, do you think it is important to have female friends? Yeah, go ahead, Aisha. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, sis. I see you.
Not only is it important, it is absolutely critical. And I'm going to say critical with a capital CRITIAL, if that's how you spell it. I might have left the word out, but I hooked on phonics did work for me. it is absolutely critical to have female friends. It's absolutely critical to have female friends. Okay, now here's my why. Okay, there is something, and when and let me put a pin, because when you say something, people automatically go to the opposite of that and say, well, why isn't that important? It's important to have all friends. Okay, let's get that straight. Now to the matter at hand, it is absolutely critical to have other women friends. One, as Zara mentioned,
I think I think we are losing or have lost Aisha.
the
Aisha, we
sister.
are not hearing you. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but we are not hearing
It's
you.
not this mythical thing that is, oh, you wrote something about it
Oh
in a
dear.
book
I
and
don't
it
think she
sounds
can hear us. Okay. Let's let's see if we can get let's see if we can get Aisha back in a moment. Um, I'll try to get Aisha back into the room, but if anybody else wants to jump in on that, go ahead, and I will. I'll be over here doing the technological thing.
I'll jump in on that. I think all friends are important. I think Aisha started to say that all friends are important. We're social beings, so friends are important. But then when we speak on woman to woman friendships and what that does for the women that are involved in those relationships, again, there's a synergy between women that I don't know if we can get that from the men. I don't know if we can. Our energies link up in such a way that it's like a shot of coffee or matcha tea or whatever. Like every time we meet in our women's circles, whether it's Sacred Goddess Temple, Sacred Woman, this medium, I feel like I'm about to be awake all night. When I have a dance class and it's a bunch of women in the room taking my dance class, I am powered up. There's just something about women joining together that we just create this bigger energy and we recharge each other. We could be doing some little twerking moves. I went to a little twerk dance class late at night, and when I got home, I was still wide awake. And I'm like, oh my God. Again, there's just something about the energy of women together that just makes us more powerful, whether it be a conversation, a dance class, a spiritual awakening, etc. It don't matter. Um, we're charging each other.
Okay, we have Aisha back. Aisha, we really want to hear what you were saying. We were hanging on to every word there, but we lost you. So I'm afraid we're going to have to ask you to start over from the beginning. I'm sorry, sis, but tell
You
us
know what it
tell us
felt
what's
like?
on
It
your
felt
heart.
like when you're on a call with someone and you're having the best aha moment and you're sharing it so eloquently, and then you hear the other people, continuing the conversation. You're like, why are they ignoring me? Nobody's even listening to what I have to say. And then you realize you were on mute the whole time. I just had that feeling. So, thanks for that laugh, y'all. I hope you can hear me now. Um, and I don't forget what I wanted to say. But anyway, I'm going to try and wing it. I think it's absolutely critical for women to have friendships with other women. It's not, for me, it's a non negotiable. And I think it really speaks to an imbalance when we think that we don't need others like ourselves. It really speaks to, I think, at your core, consciously, unconsciously, how you feel about yourself. That you would look at others like yourself and say, I don't need that. I don't need any of that anywhere near me. But in terms of what women can bring to other women, just in the realm of, okay, so I'm not going to speak to like, in career and this and that and the other, but just in a general sense, the sisterhood, the understanding that you can develop about yourself as a person who has shown up in this time and space can be heightened from your relationships with other women. We resonate at a particular type, in a particular type of energy. We show up in these female bodies resonating with the predominance of feminine energy. That is not a small thing. We cannot, one, magnify that energy, amplify that energy, or reflect that energy effectively if we are not properly aligned with other women. That is critical. That's one. Two, little known fact, women secrete this hormone called oxytocin that, girl, if we could bottle it, billionaires overnight, Jeff Bezos not gonna have nothing on us. Oxytocin, they call it the love hormone because it's present in all these love situations, right? It's that feeling that you get when you're having an orgasm. That's because oxytocin is front and center. It's that feeling that you get when women who breastfeed say that they have this kind of euphoric when it's going well. Zara, I know, don't start up. But when the breastfeeding is in alignment and it's going well, women actually report feeling this kind of high-ish feeling, this euphoric feeling. It is necessary to birth a baby. The oxytocin is what causes the contractions. You know when else we secrete it? When we're with other women, vibing and chilling. I came in on the last bit of what Zin was talking about when she's going to her dance classes and she's just like wired after her dance classes. We all know that feeling. Zara was talking earlier about having a girls' night out the other night with some girlfriends. I'm sure she came home from that lighter. I did not have to know who she was with or what they talked about to know that that was the effect of it, because that's what goes down when women are connected with other women. Because little bits of oxytocin start to get secreting in our brains and we start to feed off of everybody else's oxytocin and the high just gets higher and higher and higher. And we may not have a word for it, but there's some real physiological shit going on when women connect with other women, not in a spirit of competition, but in a spirit of sisterhood. So yes, I think it's absolutely critical, and for us to deny ourselves that, whether out of ignorance or fear or what have you, for us to deny ourselves that, we are really denying ourselves of a whole lot, realizing the fullest potential of who we are and who we can be as women. That's my personal pet peeve. I'm going on mute to tell my husband to hush because he just walked through the door.
Speaking of husbands, does anybody see what my husband just posted in the chat? I mean,
Yes.
what is wrong with these husbands? When women are gathered, I understand I have to wait a little longer in this room alone. I am a supporter. Listen, y'all see
But
what I
can I just say that when you have a partner that understands, observes, and above all respects that sisterhood, it makes such a difference, not only for you being his partner, but your friends as well. Because just the other day, I was having a bad day. Therese is in the US. And guess who came to give me a hug from Therese? You understand? So when you have a really good sisterhood, it affects our kings in a positive way too. They're not afraid to show up for us either. So to me, that's another positive thing that, we also can look at the way having a strong, healthy relationship, friendship with women, it even pushes our kings to better themselves and want such a strong brotherhood as well. So what does it boil down to again? The individual that's growing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to highlight this comment here. Marie says female friends are important because nobody understands a woman better than another woman. You share your strengths, your fears, your insecurities. However, that friend must never use your mishaps against you. I like this comment. Any thoughts? Do you agree that
Well,
nobody understands a woman better than another woman?
yes, and in other areas too, like how we function. Hello, my stomach is hurting. Hello, I need, what do I do to maintain my breath? Or whatever it is in regards to how we care for ourselves, and in those ways as well.
And
All
on
right.
that very last part that she says, using your mishaps against you, I will just add what real friend would.
Whether male or female.
Whether male,
Male or
what
female.
real friend would.
And I
And
think too, Therese, I think
mhm.
we need to recognize how much we can see ourselves in each other because we talk about the mishaps and the trials that we have as women, but then it's no different for any other woman. It may look different on the surface, but below the surface, it's all the same. So we share so much as women. And I think all the separation happens because we think we're separate. So you may be having, whether it be a relationship issue, an issue at work with your coworkers, maybe a challenge you're having with your children, in whatever space you exist with the different roles that you play. And you think it's exclusive to you. That isn't true. All of us are sharing the same experiences. We may experience it differently because of our personalities, etc., or how we were raised, our backgrounds, and all these different things. But essentially, we are one and the same. And when we can recognize our oneness and having friends, you recognize when you interact with them and you talk and you get into the deep discussions, hey, that's happening to me. And it's not conversations that you can have with men because they can't identify with certain things that happen with us. So I'm just adding that it is absolutely essential for female friendships, and shout out to all my friends. Hi ladies.
And you know what I've been seeing and I've had the pleasure of experiencing too? The friendships that are on a mentorship level, that are on a business level. The older women, and I mean, this goes into debunking that myth too, that, the pitting women against each other on a ageism, that's the correct word, right? Ageism level. I don't think there's anything more beautiful than having an older woman, a mentor, take you on as a mentor and sharing honestly with you. And in that aspect, I mean, it's great to have a male mentor, of course, but there are certain aspects when it comes to the world of business that a man is not going to be able to share experiences like being hit on, being sidelined, being biased because of your gender. I saw a quote the other day with the oh goodness, Judge Katanji, right? That kudos to the women who have to defend themselves in a room filled with underqualified, uneducated men. A female mentor now, she's going to be able to pull you aside. And hopefully, as I said, we're looking at positive relationships here. So she's going to tell you what worked for her and she's going to tell you what did not work for her so you don't make the same mistakes she did. And I can appreciate women like that. I remember when I started teaching, my first teaching job, I will never forget this. The mentor that I had, and she recently passed, She was one of those women. She spoke to me about teaching, the profession of teaching. And she also spoke to me about life, what to accept, what not to accept as a woman. And I've always appreciated her gentle words with that and that honesty. And I think that's one of the most powerful gifts as older women that we can share with younger women, that honesty of what worked for us and that brutal honesty of what did not work for us, so that you don't have to go through it, you don't have to make the same mistakes, and that you can even, as I think it's Melois Marie said, you can evolve to an even higher level than we did.
All right. So I want to highlight one comment from MJ, and then we're going to move into the final leg of this discussion. MJ is making a great point here, and I just wanted to just highlight it. She says, yes, it's very important to have female friends. I absolutely love feminine energy. Black queens are so magical. Black women create so much when they link, when they love, when they vibrate. Nothing beats Black feminine energy. It's like what you said, Therese, find your tribe. Actually, it was Heather that said that. I just repeated it. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. I know a lot of beautiful, sexy, confident, passionate, inspiring, creative, powerful, and not just strong queens. I know empowering queens. I know queens. Thank you so much for that as a beautiful comment, MJ. Thank you. And
Thank
so
you,
with
Queen
that,
MJ.
yes, absolutely. MJ is a burst of sunshine. She brings her own sunshine wherever she goes. um, and so I'm going to move us now into the final leg of this discussion. And here is where I want us to go now. I want us to tackle the idea that women don't always support other women, um, whether it is in business or whatever other pursuits she may be going after. I have often heard some sister queens say that they don't get support from their sisters. And so I wanted us to touch on that. I want us to touch on this idea that women are less likely to lift others as they rise. I have heard people say this, that men are more likely to lift as they rise. You know, the whole concept of lifting as you rise, bring somebody with you. And I've heard people say that women are less likely than men to do this. Why? Why would we be less likely to lift as we rise? What is preventing us from supporting and lifting up other queens as we go along? You know, is it this whole idea that if I figured it out, you can figure it out too? I don't need to help you. I don't need to mentor you. I don't need to show you the ropes because nobody showed it to me. I figured it out by myself. You know, that type of mentality. Like, where do you think it comes from? If it's not that, where is this idea that I do not need to bring other people with me as I climb the ladder coming from?
Competition again. And some persons won't admit that it's competition, but I think that's what it boils down to, competition, being at which, of course, then leads back to ego and your own personal insecurity. Because there's one of my favorite idioms is there's always enough for need, but never enough for greed. That's one of my favorite idioms.
Thoughts, anybody?
After
You
that,
know
the
what?
systems.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say that I'm particularly interested in hearing from Aisha and Zin, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm particularly interested in hearing from them because they run businesses. Actually, no, Misty runs a business too. All of you, Everybody on here runs a business. So I was going to say that I particularly want to hear from the queens who are in business, because I think it is in that regard that most of the people who have this opinion were speaking, like they were speaking to people or to other women not supporting their business. And so I would love to hear from that perspective what your thoughts are. But of course, if it happens in other areas, you can speak to that too.
Okay, so in my line of work, I wouldn't be in business if women didn't support it. In the catching baby business, I kind of need them women to come on over so I can catch those babies. Having said that, though, I personally have not experienced it too much. I've experienced it, but not. It hasn't been the rule. I have more experienced welcome, um, even bending over backwards to see that I have what I need. Random people reaching out to say, hey, I know you're new on the block. Tell me if you need anything. I got you. I can hook you up. Um, and yeah, I have experienced the other side of things too. And as Zara said, um, there is that competition, that feeling threatened by somebody else doing what I do. And it really comes down to, what we said in the beginning that we keep saying over and over again. It's like we're stock record or something. The um, knowing who you are, knowing your purpose, and knowing even if somebody else is on the scene doing the exact same thing that you're doing, they're not doing it the way you do it. There's space for all of us. It comes back to buying into these systems, this capitalist idea of lack, not enough. It goes counter to being able to give and give freely, and having coming from a genuine place of wanting everybody to succeed, especially others like you. Because if there really isn't enough for everybody else, and I have to kind of guard my spot and guard my space, and if I'm the first woman to dot dot dot, or first black woman to dot dot dot, then I got to hold down that spot, and another one is going to look like a threat to me. But if I recognize that this universe is abundant, there is no such thing as lack. And there's more than enough room for me, you, and 10 million more of us to come on the scene doing the quote unquote same things. Because I don't believe it's really the same thing if it's coming from the way you do it. It's completely different to the my same thing, right? So it speaks to those things, as Zara said, right? The competition, the insecurities, the feeling, the competition part of it is real, has its basis in that feeling of lack, right? And so then the fear comes up that if I had to fight so hard to get to this spot, and somebody is I see somebody coming up behind me, they're on my coat heels, I have to kind of not support their rise because then I could be dethroned. The ego side of it is I don't want somebody standing next to me. I like it up here by myself, right? And so, yes, it is possible, but I have to say, in my personal experiences, I have been blessed to have the complete opposite most of the time. And I think Misty was the one that said it at the beginning. It really does come down to what it is you're putting out there, because that's the energy I put out there. And energy talks loud and comes back to you. When I show up, I try my best to show up and bring whoever else I can tap into, and inspire people as much as possible. A lot of times we don't see our full potential as being as realized as it actually is. And it can just be taking someone who is a little further ahead of you in the game to say, yeah, I see you. Step into this. You can already do it. You don't, okay, fine. I know you haven't done XYZ, or you don't have as much experience, or blah, 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 but you can do it. And being able to be that person to send that energy out there for someone else, I truly believe is primarily responsible for me receiving it in others. And so I just want to say, yes, that's a thing. But thankfully for myself personally, I have not had to directly deal with that as much as I've had to be the recipient of the love and support.
Anybody else want to jump on that?
Yes, I'll jump in here, Therese. And I don't really look at what I do as a business, more of a service, me giving to this world. So just wanted to put that little plug there. But I also wanted to touch on some of the things that you said in terms of when persons get to a certain level, they say, well, if I had to struggle through it, then I'm leaving you to struggle through it. And there's a sense that you get to where you get to, wherever that is on your own. And I think that is a complete falsity. It's a lie. It is practically impossible. Nobody gets to where they are. Even the fact of you being here, you had to be brought here by a mother and a father, etc. So there are things that assist you on the way. And I think people just need to remember that on their journey. No man, we hear no man is an island, etc. We don't live for ourselves. Everything that we do is in order to give back, and we have received support. I think another thing too is that in this age of technology and social media, when we think of support, we want this support to be something visible, tangible, that we can actually see. So you want it to be that, oh, you see them share your page, or somebody comes and says, this person told me about you, or you're seeing it maybe, well, in my case, for example, I do meditation. You see like a lot of people coming and a lot of people sharing, etc. But support isn't only that. There are people that support you that you may not necessarily perceive it and can that it exists in a tangible way. People pray for you and things that you may never know. You may never know. So to say that you are not supported just because somebody doesn't share your business page or maybe purchase a product from you doesn't mean that they are not being supported. And I think a lot of the times we invent these things when we're not necessarily getting the maybe the financial returns that we want to get at a certain point in our businesses or whatever it is that we're doing. So we make up these, I don't want to say use the word excuse, but we give reasons why we believe we're not getting to where we're getting because other persons are not supporting us. But the thing is, once you're passionate and purposeful about what you are doing, these outside things that we feel we're not getting ultimately don't matter when you get to that point when you realize that the support is there, whether you're seeing it from your sisters, your brothers, the universe, whatever it is, the support is there. The mere fact that you have the idea, you're doing you do, you're showing up, being present, giving of your service, you're already successful, you're already supportive. So and you are supported. So I think that that is totally not true. And we have to recognize as well that a lot of the times when we hold these beliefs that we are not supported, we tend to hold back our support from persons. So we actually become the people that we are complaining about in our response, in our reaction to what we deem is going on. And then that really doesn't make you any different from the people that you're talking about. So it's like, well, the Bible says turn the other cheek, but you must be able to be good and always give of your best, even in situations that you think are not serving you. So if you think that a particular business place that may be doing the same thing or something totally different and they don't support you, if the opportunity comes for you to share their page once you believe in the business and the service that they're offering, what does it take from you to share in spite of what you may believe may not be given to you? So that's my take on that.
All right. How about you, Zen? Do you have anything to share here? I want to highlight some comments. Oh, you unmuted. That
Yeah,
means you have something to say.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, I do. I'm in the business of uplifting women. I am in the business of uplifting women through Sacred Goddess Temple, through Pink Nectar. Also, I've experienced both sides to that. where somebody's been more was established in their business, and I ask them for whatever resource. Oh yeah, I'll give it to you, and then oh no, I'm still waiting for that resource. But I'm very deliberate with the type of people that I surround myself with. So that particular type of person that is like, oh yeah, I'll do it, and then just, and then they don't follow through. I have a tendency to just ignore them, and I have close family members that don't necessarily support my business either. We have family friends that don't necessarily support my business, but I just say, oh, okay. And then I just ignore them and then focus on the people who are actually supporting me and then make sure that I express gratitude and thanks to them to say, yeah, thank you for trusting me. Thank you for supporting me. And then, keep that reciprocity going, giving away stuff. If people have questions and they need a quick answer, I'll do my best to give them a response. And then, of course, sometimes, there's things that I can't give away for free. But at the same time, I'm always in that mode of like, my sisters have to be lifted up with me once they're willing to be lifted up. So I'm not going to be dragging people around who don't who are not ready to up level. But when they come to me and say, hey, I'm ready to up level, what do I do next? I say, oh, okay. And then I share the information with them. So, yeah, I've seen both sides, unfortunately. But it just teaches me how to navigate. It teaches me who to go towards, and then just understand that, hey, this is not for everybody. What I'm doing is not for everyone, and the ones that it's for are going to show up. So yeah, we uplift each other. I love y'all.
Yay! All right, let me jump into the comment section really quick, and then we are going to wrap this broadcast up. We are not going past the top of the hour, Queens. I know this conversation could keep going and going and going, but we're not going to do that. Um, so let me have a glance at the comment section, and then I will come back to you so that you can give your parting words to the kings and the queens who are listening to us on the various platforms. Okay, so let's see. I've got a comment here from Serene who says the other side of support is many Black women mistaken comments or outreach by another Black woman to be a potential threat instead of allowing curiosity or emotional intelligence to nurture a professional relationship. I see nods. I see nods. I feel like Zin has something to say about that. Zin, I'll come back to you because I see you nodding your head. All right. MJ says that's another point to touch. We're sometimes not open to taking advice from each other. Yes, we want the help, the tips, but we're not open to hearing the truth sometimes. Women reach out to other women a lot about losing weight and getting fit, but when they hear the truth to getting their bodies right, it's like you're insulting them. You give your friend your honest opinion about her relationship, but she makes it seem like you don't want her to be happy when the man is mentally and emotionally. And I don't see the rest of that comment. But I think I understand where she was going with the comment. I think I understand where she was going with that. Serene says, if it wasn't for my tribe, I don't know if I would have evolved into the Black business owner and Black woman I am today. We reciprocate support behind the scenes and on social media. I accept them for who they are, and I accept our purpose in each other's lives with appropriate boundaries. I love that. Absolutely love that. Oh, somebody's shouting out Aisha here. I have Queen Joanna Spencer is giving a shout out to Aisha. She says it's lovely to see you. MJ says, I sell sex toys, so I couldn't survive without that feminine sexual energy. Plug for MJ. It's not just the queens buying. Best believe they're sending their kings, and I'm grateful. All right, we heard that. And this is a lovely note on which to wrap up. Joanna says, continue to build platforms for women empowerment. We stand united together. That is beautiful. I love that. I absolutely love that. Zen, did you want to make a final comment about something that Serene says? Because I saw you nodding your head
Yeah,
vigorously.
I do. Yes. Well, it's a skill. It's a skill to be able to reply to people. And as a healer, I've realized that people show up in their, I'm just going to say, sickness in different ways. And we cannot take that personally. And all it is a simple, okay. And then you can just turn your back or offer your services. It's up to you. It's up to self. And trust me, that is a skill. That's something that you have to develop over time and say and humble yourself to be like, it's not everything that's gonna take me into ratchet mode. Like I'm not about to be arguing with people in my text messages and inboxes. Like no. And if they come with a comment that doesn't necessarily sound like, okay, do you even understand what's happening? Then you just slow down and ask a few questions. Hey, do you know this? Do you know that? And develop the conversation if that's something that you're patient enough to deal with. So yeah, that's definitely a skill.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And on that note, we're going to wrap this conversation up. Of course, you know that I have got to take the time to pour gratitude, a lot of gratitude, out for these queens who have taken the time to sit here with me tonight to unpack this topic. Let me tell you all, these queens that are sitting here with me are extremely busy women. They are movers and shakers. They are out here changing the world, each in their own way. And so I honor the time that you have given me. You have given me 2 hours out of your lives that you will never get back. I do not take that for granted. I feel like we really need to show more gratitude for people's time. Time is a gift, right? And so I truly appreciate you for giving me this time tonight, and not just to me, but to all of the people who are watching us wherever they are around the World Wide Web. We thank you so much for your commitment to empowering others. We are grateful, and we send you lots of love and light as you continue to empower people, because we know you don't just empower people here on the Always a Queen platform, you're empowering people every day in your lives. And so we send you lots of positive energy and love and light from here. And of course, I send love and light to the followers, to all the people who have been in the chat section, to all of the silent listeners who never comment but who are on here every week. I send you love and light as well, because the Always a Queen platform would not exist if it were not for you. Thank you very much for your continued support of the platform. And as usual, you know what my instructions are as I end every last one of my broadcasts. Be a beautiful week. Bye, everyone.